Hi, I'm Tony Zaire, Talking Hands Math, and I'm in front of the camera. And I want to talk about my journey as a math student. And I talked about it in another video, how I would study for a test and such. But to bring you back to where things started for me as a student, middle school student, I was a struggling 7th grade math student. I was in the remedial math class, and I'm going to show you some documents that prove that, yeah, I was struggling and I wasn't sure what to do. And in college, I decided to study math and get my degree in math for some weird reason, because math was not my thing. And how I benefited from that and where I ended up. So I'm going to switch over to my actual documents to show you my journey, and I'm going to be behind the camera now. All right, so here is my 7th grade. Let's see, I'm in grade 7 here. I attended Shore Cliffs Junior High School. It's now called Shore Cliffs Middle School. Because at this time, it was just 7th and 8th grade. It wasn't 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And here are my teachers here. And 7 means you're in grade 7. 7-1, that was code for, I didn't know it at the time, but it was code for the advanced class. And 7-2 was code for the remedial class. You were not working at grade level. And there you go, language in English, 7-2. I think I made it out of there and advanced to the regular class. But in here, in math, I was not in the regular class. I was in the remedial class. Now, right here, I'm getting all A's. 7th grade, and it looks like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. But here I'm not even working at grade level right here. Let's see, I'm doing a good job too. Takes pride in work, good attitude, cooperative and courteous, and so on. Okay, so I'm a standout student in this class. But if you gave me grade level work, I'd probably be getting a C or a D in that class. So I'm doing this here, but I'm getting an A, but my work is wrong. I'm doing wrong stuff, and I kept my notes. And when I got into 9th grade here are my grades from 9th grade. You can see here quickly, yeah, I'm in algebra, but I'm getting a C. And that was a courtesy C. I had no idea what I was doing at this point. I was totally lost. I got a tutor. I didn't know what was going on. And this was my first time that I was being told, yep, what you're doing is wrong. Right here, I was just quiet in class. I was quiet. I didn't make any problems, and I think that the teacher just awarded me with an A because I had good behavior. But here, I was fine. I was still behaved, but the teacher's saying, nah, you don't know what you're doing, dude. So, but here, still good attitude, showing improvement, cooperative, courteous overall. I mean, overall, my teachers would probably say the same thing. 10th grade. Okay, I'm working hard here. I connected with geometry, and my math grade is getting up higher right there, so I'm getting a B. I was feeling good in this class. I'm fine with the B. It was an improvement, but I was really connecting with the subject at that point. Working hard. But there's still a problem. And back when I was in high school in 1988, this is Tony Zaire. My parents still live in the same place. The Capistrano Unified School District, they sent letters home so they're saying blah 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 blah. They're saying, all right, you have to pass these tests in order to graduate high school, and you have not passed the math test. Now I think I was in I think I was a sophomore in high school, so I might have been in 10th grade at the time. Let's see, 10th grade, 88. Yeah. So that's this year right here. So I'm doing B work here, but the work here, this stuff, when I was in 7th grade, that is what's on this test. So I might have been doing geometry work, but I never learned I might have been, let's see, where's that? Oh, here. I might have been doing geometry work right here and doing just fine, but that 7th grade stuff still had not been learned right here, and I had to learn it. So I can see here also in 1990. So I'm a junior. I'm in the next class, which is Algebra 2 Trigonometry. And I still had not passed this. So I enrolled in, and this is 1990. So the next year, I graduated in 1991. So I'm 1 year away here. And I took this business math class, which had a lot of the stuff that I was missing from 7th grade. And it applied to that test. And I passed the test. So I graduated high school. I went to junior college for a couple of years. And then I went to San Diego State. And in San Diego State, there was this Foundations of Geometry class. And this was an upper division math class, one of the most difficult ones they offered at the school. And it was written by the teacher. You can see his writing here, axioms and assumptions. And he wrote this stuff here. And these are all axioms which are basic assumptions that you work from. And there were 8 axioms to start with. And then you start in with theorem 1. And here's theorem 1. If you have a line ABC, then BAC, CAB, ACB, and BCA are all false. And so here's the proof. And then using your axioms, you prove this. So I think that on the same page here, I was writing. I noticed there was some stuff here, so I would write the solution to it here. And so that's it. ACB is false, axiom 4, and so you have your statement and what supports your statement, so on. But this is not a class. I'm not showing you this about how to teach you this math, but just basically this is the idea. So here's theorem 4b, and there's all this stuff to it, and you'd have remarks. And so every homework assignment was prove the theorem. Prove the theorem right here. So theorem 7, all these parts here it is. I would write it on the opposite page right here. And this is the old me. And soon I was going to transform myself. I have more work here, theorem 7a. Okay, so that continues from here, theorem 7a. So I'm proving that right there. Must know the theorem. So I'm giving myself notes. I'm trying to be a good student here. And so there's pages and pages and pages of this stuff. I mean, look at this. I'm going to zoom out here and refocus. There's pages and pages of this stuff. And I think the first test was theorems 1 through 25, I think. I think it ended right here. So all this, okay, so it ended right to here. And so this is what page 10 now. And so each of these statements had a proof to it. And the proofs, you can see some of the proofs. They're right here. Boy, it's I was showing you right here. Here's proofs that I was writing right here. So I asked and the teacher said, okay, we're going to have a test. It's going to cover the first 25 theorems. You have to know the proofs of all of them. I said, well, how do you study for that? And he said, well, if you can write if you know all the proofs to all of them, then you know the test. I'll just pick 5 at random. Well, I studied and studied and studied. I studied a bunch. I must have studied 15 hours for that test, on top of doing all the homework, and I got a B. And I was mad. I was mad about that. I thought I could have done better. So I asked him, how do I study this? And he said, for the next test, what you have to do, and this is where I would start to do the idea of drafts of my homework. This might have been the 3rd or 4th time I did my homework assignment. Actually, I certainly did it after this because my professor made notes about this. So I would revisit this. I would do it another way. I had my way. Oh, I even had my way right here. I had an idea, and I had his way, and I would compare the two. And he said, well, you got to take that out, and you have to add that line right there because of theorem 13. So I would practice that. I would practice it again and again. I would write on a blank sheet of paper. I would write down the theorem and see if I could do the whole thing. And this was set off to the side while I would do this on a blank sheet of paper. So on a blank sheet of paper, I would write through, could I write the theorem, and did I understand all the steps and why, and so on. And boy, I spent a long time doing that. Over and over and over, I would do that. When it came time for the test, and then I would do these, and then here's more theorems, and I would master every detail. I made sure I knew what the theorem stated, and I made sure I knew every step and why every step was used. And what was amazing is you would think I'm just memorizing, and I wasn't. At first, I thought I was memorizing it, but there was too much information to memorize. So my brain started making the connections, and that's where the learning came from. It's when you're making connections that make sense to you, and that's what I did throughout this. And so it came time for the test, and I actually have the test here. I got 100%, and he even said, don't even take the final. I had mastered everything. So he picked 5 theorems at random, and from, I don't know, now this is theorem 51, so there were at least 51 theorems here, and I had mastered everything. I could state the theorem, I knew the parts to it, and I knew every tiny detail about it. And I did that throughout all these theorems. What, theorem 44, theorem 42, I even knew the parts in between. And the professor, theorem 33, and here's all the parts to it. And the professor stopped me, and he said, oh, you know what? You did something fantastic. After class, a few weeks after class was out, we passed each other in the hallway, and he said, I'd like to write you a letter of recommendation. May I do that? And I said, of course you can. That would be wonderful. Thank you. And here it is. It's a letter from me, from Dr. Whitman, and you can pause it if you want to, and you can read it. But I was super proud of this, and 20 some years later, I'm still reminiscing and thanking Dr. Whitman for this. And it taught me that, yeah, you can start from anywhere. You can start from the worst of the worst, which was me back in 7th grade. Back in 7th grade, couldn't even work at grade level. All the way from there, that 7th grade student, to this guy who can master one of the most challenging undergrad math courses offered at a prestigious university, San Diego State University, and then being stopped by the professor, the teacher of that class, and said, whoa, you are, what is it? What it says right here, let's see, he is an excellent math student. I mean, if I could do it, you could do it too. I hope this has helped you in understanding where you are doesn't have to be where you stay. And so I have once again that grade, a lonely little 7th grade guy, and then nearing the end of college, had transformed myself into someone that was respected as understanding math at a high level, and moving on to becoming a teacher. And now I'm 20 years after that as an experienced veteran teacher of mathematics, and constantly I'm learning more. I mean, that's what I love about this, is there's just brilliance all the time. And I hope that if you're in a spot where math is getting you down, you can realize that you can make a change. It doesn't have to stay that way. You just need to redirect your focus, perhaps. Gather resources. Get help from those that are ready to help you. Number 1, your teacher. Ask your teacher questions. Write that stuff down. And get back to it when you get home. When you finish that conversation with your teacher, it's not over. Get back to it. Return to it. Could you write it down on your own? Could you explain it? And if you take these extra steps, I guarantee you, you're going to feel much better about math and your place in your math classes. Thanks for watching.